Hi everyone, it's me, Cindy, with Cindy's Sacred Garden. Welcome. I am gonna showcase to you Boneset. She's so tall. Her flowers are getting ready to open up, so we must harvest. But before I do that, the bugs are out, and they are everywhere. I don't mind the bees, but these are the no-see-ums, the mosquitoes, the little just attached to you. So I am gonna put on my body our Bug Be Gone solid stick. And where I put it is behind my legs. I'm gonna hold on to this post here so I don't step on a plant. It goes easy on your body, right here on the inside of my arms where it's hot. And I don't wanna do my hands because I'm gonna be harvesting. And right back here, guys, this is really important because that stops them from coming at your face. It's that simple, that easy, and it's gonna last a while, 3-4 hours. I have quite a bit of gardening to do today. The temperature here is cool. We've had some cool breezes this morning, so it's a perfect day for me to be out in Cindy's Sacred Garden. So, I want to talk to you about Boneset. Now, let me show you how big she is. Look at that. I actually have her in a tomato cage right here because she is in the middle of my garden. I brought her here 8 years ago, and she moved. She migrated way below in the back 40 to this position here. And this season, at the end of the season, I'll be moving her to a location where she'll have her full sun and actually have a place to rest upon a tree or like a lattice fence like I have back here, so that during storms she doesn't break and fall over. So I've had to keep her contained, and regardless, she still has these amazing flowers. Now, what is Boneset, you wonder? It's an all-native medicine, guys. And this, my friends, is important to have somewhere growing on your property. It doesn't have to be in your gardens. It loves to grow in where it has full sun, disturbed soil, or enriched soil, amended soil. And she'll keep growing year after year after year, and then start bouncing off babies everywhere. And then those you can move to different areas. Boneset has that name because it is to set a bone. Before I go into any details, I'm gonna cut it and see if I can show you how to recognize a native Boneset growing near you. It can grow near water. It can grow near where it's wet. It can be in dry areas. A lot of old farm land will have it in a pasture near a big oak tree. I have found native Boneset in so many different growing environments that I don't think it's particular where it sets its feet. So, how do you recognize Boneset? Since I'm going to be cutting back today, this is a really good time for me to show you. And I'm going to cut her all the way down. Boneset ends up having this perforation look. So if you're looking from, let me get my glasses on to make sure you're seeing this. If you're looking from underneath the plant, it looks like, here, let me do this. It looks like the leaves are perforating right through the stem. So it looks as if the stem is perforating right. The stem is perforating right through the leaves. But that isn't the case. The leaves actually have these wonderful little brackets that hold on to the edge of the stem. So it's easy to see. If you look underneath, you can look, or if you're looking down, which is probably the easiest because this gets really big. So let's see. You can see where it looks like the stem is actually going through the leaves, but it's not. It has a round square stem. It's not real square like your mints, but it has more of a thick rounded stem. The leaves are elongated and serrated. They can be very small and they can get very large. The flowers, and the reason we're harvesting today is because I noticed these right here are starting to open. And when you're drying your own herb to use for future reference, when flowers start doing this, they become fluff. And then the flower medicine is no longer gonna work because it's gonna fall apart. And like a dandelion that has lost everything and you're ready to make a wish and blow on it. So the main purpose of harvesting right now before the flowers open is so that I can save the flower medicine, which is important. I'm gonna share with you right now. Boneset, to set a bone, to break a fever. Let me turn these guys. Maybe like right there. My camera's going. So Boneset is old medicine. If someone had a sprain, let's just say, let's go to the ankle. So you have sprained your ankle and it is swollen, it is hot, it is inflamed. You don't know if you've broken or not. Doesn't matter at this point. What matters is that you seek immediate attention to the area. So with Boneset, if you dry the leaves, if you don't have the fresh plant and you have it in a jar and it's been dried, you would take the leaves and make a poultice with it by adding it to some hot water, a nice amount, like 8 ounces of water and probably 2 handfuls of the dried leaves. And you would let that steep. Then you would apply that to the area of concern, such as the ankle. I'm using that as an example. It's swollen, it's red, you can't walk on it, it's inflamed, there's a fever there. And so when I talk about Boneset, it breaks the fever while setting the bone. Now, here in this case, your bone isn't broken. You have a sprained ankle, doesn't matter, works the same. And so you would keep applying that tea poultice to your swollen ankle to, number one, remove the fever from the area. So just as your body gets a fever when you have an infection, when you sprain or break an area or injure an area, a fever sets in there and you have to break the fever to allow the blood to circulate back into that area to heal it. That's big. It's beautiful, it's easy. So in this case, I would take the flowers and the leaves and actually, while you're applying the poultice, drink some of it. Because that is going to get into your body and get to the source of that ankle to reduce the swelling and the fever that's set in there. If your foot is completely swollen for 2, 3, 4 days, it has no ability to heal. The same applies with a broken bone. Now with a broken bone and a sprain, I would definitely be mixing this with comfrey. So you could do dried or fresh. So a fresh Boneset, if I injured myself, I would just come out here and do the same concept. I would make a tea of it, a tea poultice, and apply it to the area of the wound. The flowers and the leaves dried, here's the second benefit of Boneset, is to be, we have this in the elderberry and the flu brew tea. And during the winter when I have like a really, me or someone else has that bad lung infection or the serious sinus infection, I'm gonna sweat it out. That's the old way. And that way always worked. So I'm gonna depend on that. Now, if my temperature is a low grade 99.9, even at 100. I'm gonna let it burn on its own naturally. If it goes, for me, some people run hotter, some run cooler, so I'm a cooler person. I think my regular temp is around 96. So I really know that at 99, I'm burning a low grade and starting to hit where it's gonna go above into a more mild to high grade fever. So I will take the dried flowers or the fresh, depending, but usually it's dried because it's winter at that point, and the leaves, and make a tea, a strong tea. Now you wouldn't want to do a decoction, which means boiling it for 20 minutes, because flowers and leaves are very tender, and by 20 minutes of a rolling boil, you've just pretty much boiled out the medicine. So I would again take 2 big handfuls and the flowers, add it to 8 ounces of water that I have brought to a boil, remove from the stove, and add the leaves and the flowers, and let it steep 7 minutes, no more than 10, and wait for it to come down to room temperature. If you are sick, your stomach takes a lot to cool down a hot liquid or to heat up a cold liquid. So room temperature is optimal when you are sick, if you have nausea, fever, and this goes for children too. This is really important because children their stomachs can't handle that change. Sorry, I've got leaves all hitting my legs and I'm like making sure it's not a critter. So then I would drink it. I would wrap my body in a heavy blanket and lay on the couch and allow the infection to sweat out. I would also be taking Usnea during this time because you don't know how far that infection has set in. And I want the natural antibiotic that is gram positive, gram negative, so it's a broad spectrum, to kick in at the same time as I'm burning this fever. So I'm really handling a lot. This is effective for children 2 and above in a lighter amounts when they are burning a fever. I've also put this in children's baths. When you're doing a cool, tepid bath to bring down their temperature, I'll put this in the water to be gentle as to help sweat out that fever, to remove it. So Boneset is for bone injuries, sprain injuries, fevers. This has a multitude of uses. If someone has MRSA or a cellulite going on and it is really hot, red, and swollen, they're going to get a poultice of Boneset. So I look at a plant and I go, how many ways can I use this? So that the benefits of growing this beautiful medicinal native plant becomes my apothecary for many, many uses. So guys, I'm going to be harvesting, and basically what I do is I'll cut. I'm going to cut below while it's still in the cage to make it easy. I'm going to cut above. A bracket. Wait, that's not going to show you. Hang on, this will show you. Let me pull this one out. So I would cut see the new leaves? So I'm going to have second growth. This plant will keep providing until the first frost. And I would cut it right there above, oops, hang on a second. Right above these new growths right here. So in the armpit of this new growth here. And then what I do is I'll gather a bundle let me get another one. And I'll gather, say, I could probably get another one in here, but you can see it's big. a nice bundle like this. I turn it upside down. I take a rubber band. I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 more in here, but I just want to show you how to do this. And I will just hang it for about 4 or 5 days before this completely dries, just to make sure there's no moisture. It hasn't rained, so I know there isn't, and if I wanted to right now, I could just set it in a big paper bag without closing the bag, so then the flowers drop as they dry into the bag, and I can separate it from the leaves. Once it's dried, I separate the flowers from the leaves, because the flowers are really gentle and make wonderful in a tea. And so then I would strip off these when they're dried and just add them into a jar full. The entire leaf. Do not break it, cut it, any of that. And there's a reason why. As soon as you start cutting this down, it loses its potency. So leave it whole until you need it. When it's completely dried, it's really easy just to crush it into smaller particles to add to your teapots or into your tea blends for a poultice or a tea. So this is how I use it. I do not tincture Boneset at all. I find yarrow to be more effective if I'm going to tincture up something for a blood cleanser for an infection. So guys, I should do a quick little, I'll do another video and add that next perhaps, but my garden is exploding and she's beautiful and gorgeous. So I'm going to finish this, Miss Boneset, our native plant. You can find these at nurseries or ask one of your garden centers to carry it for you. Bring this back, naturalize it as natural medicine. I have spread this in different areas where it should be and hasn't shown up, which just means, you know, it could be from house developments coming in, people thinking it's a weed when it's small, pulling it up and removing it from its natural environment. So this is, I love to teach about Boneset. When I see it, it's immediately walk to and talk about amazing medicines. It is a pollinator when the flowers open up. So butterflies, bees, and I will let the smaller stems here continue to grow for the pollinators and then harvest them at a later time. I just need to trim her back to save these for medicine and also to make sure she doesn't break in a storm. This is 6 feet tall, they can get 8 feet tall real easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of her and she'll take care of me and those in need. As I say, happy gardening, happy life, happy harvest.